Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Jared Dunn, and today I'll be talking to you guys a little bit about George Washington and why I think he is a great leader. So, just moving on to what we're going to be talking about today, we're going to talk about a little bit about his biography, his personal life, the world impact he had on the world, his couple leadership traits he has or possesses, what made him a great leader, also some of his accomplishments he's had, and then finally we'll wrap it up with a summary at the end of why I think he's a great leader. So moving on to the biography part. He was born on February 22nd, 1732 in Westmoreland County, Virginia. He was 67 when he died on December 14, 1799 in Mount Vernon, Virginia. His nickname is the Father of Our Country, since he was the first president of our country. He was married to Martha Curtis in 1759. He had no previous children, but he has two stepchildren of his own. He was the first of six children in his family. Also, when I said he was the first president, his presidential term was from August 30th, 1789 to March 4th, 1797. And then also he was the commander-in-chief of the First Continental Army during the American Revolution. So moving on to a little bit of his home life. He grew up on a wealthy estate on Pope's Creek alongside the Potomac River. George Washington's father died when he was 11. His father was 48 years old when he died. His father was a wealthy tobacco planter on their own farm that they had. After George Washington went to live with his half-brother in Mount Vernon on the plantation alongside the Potomac River, Lawrence raised him and took over as the father figure for George Washington. And then after Lawrence died, George Washington took over the Mount Vernon plantation for the family. So moving on now to the world impact that George Washington had. Like I said, he was the founding father of the United States. He was one of the most popular presidents of the United States. Also, Washington is known for leading the Continental Army in victory over the British in the American Revolution. He helped define what the role of the presidents would be going forward. That basically just saying what would be happening, what would be going forward as a president, and what they need to know. So then Washington changed the world by setting a new nation on a path that for over 200 years they have endured. So finally, Washington set an example for presidents to come by being judicious, solemn, and restrained. So continuing on with the world impact he has, when the war broke out, Washington did not seek the position of commander-in-chief, but because there was no competition, everybody thought since Washington had such power that he should be the commander-in-chief. And it was said that Washington had the influence, charisma, and military experience to be in that type of position. So then moving on, he helped form the government we have today, and what we know as it is today. Also, he agreed to sign the Bill of Rights, and then he's also signed the Declaration of Independence. So some of the leadership traits he possesses as a great leader. He's a good communicator. He's task goal-oriented. Also, he's trustworthy. And then finally, he has good social skills. So next, what made Washington a great leader? These are just a couple of things that I think he's a great leader, and a couple of things that I've read of why he is a great leader. Washington was a man of faith and action. He believed deeply in God's providence, and he demonstrated it with his actions. He put up his faith and his beliefs into actions. He was a leader that walks the talk and recognizes that true authority comes from God. Next, Washington had high expectations for himself and his people. Once the men knew that Washington would respect them and that he would personally invest in their mission, they were willing to give their all for him. This was a type of relationship that is extremely effective and allows the leader to ask for great things from his or her followers. So moving on, with what made Washington a great leader. Washington places people's welfare above his own. So nothing creates a stronger loyalty than a follower knowing that the leader truly cares about them. This willingness to look out for others in pursuit of a higher purpose is true servant leadership. A leader puts other people first. So talking about his leadership styles, I think that Washington is a servant leader just because he always puts his his workers before him. He wanted to make sure that everybody um, was in the right state of mind. Everybody was happy, so he cared for others pretty much. So then moving on with another thing, Washington treated those reporting to him with dignity and respect. Um, Going along with servant leadership, respect goes hand in hand with that. Respect is one of the most common things that people look for in a leader. Washington had faith in his people, no matter what rank. Washington treated everybody with the same respect. I think that is true to everything. If you just treat everybody with the same respect, um, no matter what your rank is, no matter what your age is, gender, ethnicity, respect goes both ways. And then Washington demonstrated exemplary character and conviction. So integrity should be the first characteristic of a leader, and then integrity should be the first characteristic of a leader. So moving on to some of his accomplishments, he had many, many, many accomplishments during his lifetime. He was a commander in chief of the Continental Army during the American Revolution. Um, he he led the U.S. to victory in the decisive land battle of the American Revolutionary War. Um, Washington didn't seize power due to his commitment to American republicanism. And then George Washington became the first president of the United States in 1789, which I had stated earlier. Um, these are just a couple notable things in his lifetime that he's done. This isn't everything that he's done, but this is just the most common things that people have seen him do during his lifetime. Washington established many forms in the government that still survive today. So moving on, continuing, he suppressed the Whiskey Rebellion. Through Jay's Treaty, Washington built a strong relationship with Britain. He issued the Proclamation of Neutrality to protect U.S. from war in Europe. Also, Washington established the United States Navy. That is very big within the United States. And then finally, his farewell address is one of the most important documents in American history. So wrapping it up, like I said, of why I think he is a great leader or iconic leader, I just think he has done many, many great things in his lifetime. He's served us as the first president. He's done just marvelous things to keep his name still continuing as we know it. There's much to admire about George Washington in the way he led others. Washington had the power of knowledge. Also, Washington was known as an honest man among his peers, and his peers respected him with their integrity. Couple last points here. He was one of the greatest presidents in the United States, and he accomplished many things in his lifetime. Again, my name is Jared Dunn. Thank you for listening to this briefing. Hope you have a great day.